Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, OP is the CEO of a hardware company and is in a wheelchair. A lazy, entitled Karen customer comes up to him and claims he must be faking the disability and then shoves him out of his wheelchair. Police get called and the situation explodes. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. So I own a hardware company in my city that consists of 3 separate locations. I am the CEO, but don't let that wording make you think that I'm some rich guy sitting in an office or anything. A CEO of a small company needs to work hard to stop the entire thing from basically collapsing and going under. Before I get into the story with the customer, I do want to address a few things that will be important to know for the story. Now, I started this company because when I was 19 years old, I was in an accident that left me paralyzed and in a wheelchair. I learned that people are not as willing to give the disabled like me jobs, so I went and built my own company instead. I wear the same store shirt as employees and work at all 3 different stores depending on where I am needed the most. So one day I am working at one of the locations in the tools section when a woman behind me says, "Excuse me," all drawn out like in a very snotty tone. I turn around and put a smile on my face ready to help the potential customer. I can tell by just looking at her that I might have a problem. However, I would rather help a difficult customer myself than throw her on one of my employees. Me, "Hello ma'am, can I help you find anything today?" Karen, "You can stop being lazy is what you can do." Me, "I apologize, but what have I done that shows me being lazy?" Karen, "You are sitting down on the job. If you're gonna work, then you should be standing up and being tired after a long day." Me, "I am in this wheelchair because I cannot stand up or walk." Karen, "You are too young to be in a wheelchair. You're a fake cripple trying to be able to sit on your lazy butt all day. I bet you never help anybody and instead use your lazy excuse to do nothing and walk away with a paycheck that could be going to somebody hardworking. If my son had your job, he would be coming home with his legs aching from standing at work all day. Get the hell out of that chair now." I've had various reactions to my chair before, but never anything like this. Some would ask me why I was in the chair, which is rude to begin with because they are total strangers. Other Karens before this one had mentioned that the store should not have hired somebody like me and refused to be served. Hell, even wearing the shirt, I've had people refuse to believe I've ever worked here. Calling me lazy and that I was faking was new for me and I did not even think of what she was about to do next. She grabbed the back of my chair and pushed it almost upside down so I would fall out of it. I hit the ground hard and down there I didn't have much that I could do. I called for help over my radio and it didn't take long for one of my employees to come over and question what the hell the woman was doing. She didn't want to talk to him, of course, and demanded that she speaks to the manager of the store. The employee looked at me and I motioned for him to call the other manager and mouthed for him to call the police. I wanted to be ready just in case because of all the things I have read on this site before. When the manager came, Karen went on a rant about how she caught his employee in a lie about being disabled. Then she said she wanted him to fire me right then and there. If not, she was gonna go to all the newspapers and tell them how my store hired a fake cripple and refused to act when she did the right thing and caught him. Manager, "Miss, he really does need that chair. He cannot get off the ground now because of what you did. Besides taking all of that out of the account, I couldn't fire him even if I wanted to." Karen, "You won't fire him because you're worried about all those disability lawyers coming after you, but he is a fake, so it doesn't matter. You can fire him and you will." Manager, "He is the CEO of the entire company. I cannot fire him and nobody else can either. If you go on the website, you can even see an entire story about how he built this company and his picture is right there." Me, "Speaking as the owner of the store, I want you to leave the premises immediately. You can either leave of your own free will or be escorted out by police when they arrive." Karen, "The only one getting arrested is you for being a fake cripple." She tries to kick me but is stopped when a random guy passing by sees and shoves her out of the way and onto the ground. She starts screaming even louder about abuse and even saying she's being assaulted for no reason. When police finally arrive, she is quick to tell them about the guy that stopped her from attacking me and that I was pretending to be disabled and to be the owner of the company. Police then see on the CCTV cameras that she shoved me out of the chair and then later when she tried to kick me. Officer, "Sir, would you like to press charges against this woman for assault?" "Yes, and I already told her to leave my store. If she refuses to leave right now, I want her arrested for trespassing as well." Karen, "BS, I'm not leaving until the real CEO is called up and this man is fired." I also want to press charges against this entire company for the mental anguish they have put me through. She sat on the floor refusing to leave, and the police had to physically get her up and arrested her for trespassing. Of course, the man defending me was not arrested and instead got a nice discount from me on his entire purchase. I was helped back into my chair, and despite me saying I was fine, they insisted the paramedics check me out just to be sure. I was angrier than anything, but the fall did not do any damage. She was at least gonna be banned from all of my stores because I refused to let her harass anybody else in my business. In addition, I of course pressed charges on her, as I said before. I don't care if she was gonna spend $1 million, she is never going to come back. I hire other people with disabilities, and the thought of her harassing them bothered me greatly. It makes me angry that somebody can just look at me and assume things about me. Saying that if I am in a chair, I must be faking it because I don't look that old. That supposedly I cannot be the CEO of a business because I'm a person living with a disability. Despite the entertainment, I want to tell people out there that if you go to a store and see an employee with a disability, don't treat them differently. If they were hired, they can do their job and you should just let them. She was so far the worst Karen that I've ever come across, but I don't want to jinx it and say she will be the worst I ever see. I know once you set the bar, there will always be somebody to go over it and make me lose my faith in humanity a little bit more. And the next one is titled Malicious Compliance at Workplace. Reminded of this by another post here of family members working at the same place. So many years ago, Other Half and I worked at the same company but in completely different departments. Other Half worked in sales as a salesman and driver, taking out products on his own local route. There was 13 other local routes in that department, fresh product delivered daily. The customer base on my Other Half's department is small businesses, corner shops, sandwich shops, takeouts, eateries, that kind of thing. These small customers would have orders ranging from $10 to $50 at a time. I worked in the offices predominantly working with the distanced national and international customers, very large businesses in the food industry that most people have certainly heard of. Their orders were in the range of $80,000 to $100,000 per month, ordering pallets over pallets of product. I managed their orders and the accounts, doing the aged debt collecting on those. One thing I learned at this place that has stayed true at every other job I've had: the small fry customers are the ones that complain the most and the loudest. Due to the nature of the job, I had to take phone calls, a mixture of the large customers haggling to pay their debts later, sprinkled with the local corner shops calling to complain. Took a call one morning from Karen, of course, complaining that her delivery was short, the driver is horrible and a piece of work and should be fired. She is always having the same problem with this driver: he is never on time, he is rude, and that I should tell the driver to buck his ideas up or they are never ordering product from us again. She made some choice words about the driver, screaming, swearing, the whole 9 yards. I asked the business name and the business location. The location by the area tells me which route they are on before I even look up their account. Once I got the business name, I already recognized them as a problem customer. They have actually been moved from one neighboring route to another due to issues. Read, many sales drivers refuse to have anything more to do with them. Karen continues to rant while I do due diligence to look up their account. Karen: so what are you going to do about it? I want the driver reprimanded immediately. My order was short of this product and he was late. He wouldn't comp and refund the missing products. He's a CNXX and a FXX, blah blah blah. Me: well, I'm super sorry about that. Let me fix that for you. I see your order on my screen here, and I also see your handwritten faxed order that was scanned in. Those products are not on your order, I'm afraid. The driver cannot credit items that were not ordered. Karen: yes, I did. I want compensation and the driver fired. Me: I see. Let me dig into this a little further. Right, I see there has been a lot of credits in your account already. Also, lining up to your orders that didn't include those credited products in the past. That is rather odd. Important to note, it was normal for the local drivers to sometimes put in credits to keep the smaller customers quiet and on board. Sometimes production issues happen, ordered products are short or not available that day. The business had a whole philosophy that the customer was always right and to keep them happy. I was in the business for debt collecting, completely opposite to that, and had the power to place customers on hold. They got nothing until they paid up. I noticed that this customer has not paid their bill for over 6 weeks. So now they fall under my remit. Karen: your driver is lying. I know what I've ordered. Your drivers are always doing this and he was really rude. I want the driver reprimanded and fired or I'm never ordering again. Given that they have been a problem account for quite some time, I decided to comply. Me, you know, I will follow this up for you. I cannot speak to the driver right now as they are out delivering, but I will reprimand the driver tonight over dinner at home. Karen, silence at first. Wait, what? Well, my other half is 6'2", built like a brick outhouse. He is not a doormat, but is also the most chill and least rude person I've ever known. Me, we take this very seriously and I don't wish to lose your business. We are very sorry to hear you are unsatisfied and I do see that you've had similar problems in the past. Unfortunately, I don't have the authority to fire my other half, but here's what I can do. As your account is now in age debt, I will place your deliveries on hold and I promise you won't see that driver until the account is fully audited and paid in full. Karen, he's your husband? I don't think we need to go that far. Me, he is, but that is not relevant. I insist we look into your complaint and take it seriously. I will order a personal audit of your account as all these credits for product not included in your past orders are concerning. I will get this all straightened out for you. If you decide to take your business elsewhere after the audit is complete and the account settled, we'll be sorry to see you go. But of course we completely understand your stance if we cannot find a resolution. Karen splutters, mumbles that it is all okay, she was having a bad day and it's not all that bad. Me, I know. Don't worry, let me audit this and get you a final correct total. And the driver won't bother you again until the account is square and you are happy with the service. So now the aftermath of all of this. Customer's aged bill came in at $150 more for items that were credited to keep them happy and quiet. And when she still insisted to complain that they were not getting product they did not order in the first place and tried to make out my other half was terrible at his job. They then did not get any orders until the account was paid in full and customer never made a peep again. Husband continued to deliver to them after the audit and settling the bill and always walked in there with a big smile. Moral of the story, Karen, be careful who you lie and complain to because that's gonna bite you in the rear one day. And the next one is titled, I threw away the bottle. So I am 40 male and just turned 40 last week. I'm divorced and have 2 teenage kids with my ex-wife, 17 male and 14 female. My whole family came to my and my girlfriend's apartment last Saturday for my birthday. My parents, some aunts and uncles, some cousins, my 3 brothers with their families, my 2 kids, and my girlfriend's 15-year-old son who lives with us. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for 6 years now. Alcohol absolutely ruined my life, it destroyed my marriage and nuked my relationship with my kids for years. I don't allow alcohol in my home now for anyone. It just isn't served or tolerated here. My entire family knows this very well and they know my history with alcohol. For my 40th, my brother bought me a very expensive bottle of whiskey. It had writing on it, a very heavy bottle and very old whiskey, so it probably cost him a couple $100. When he gave me the bottle, I was shocked and said I don't drink, but thanks for the gift. He then opened the bottle and started pouring shots in plastic cups for everyone. My daughter had a panic attack at the smell of alcohol, which I am painfully aware is my fault and I'll never forgive myself for it. So I told my brother to take the alcohol out on the balcony and just leave it there. He would not do it though and took a shot of the whiskey. I told him to seriously stop it and he proceeded to pour the whiskey. He then said I'm acting like a sober saint now when I ruined everyone's birthday for years with my drinking. I told him to come to the hallway with me and talk it out. He refused to do so and put a glass of whiskey in my hand. I took the trash can, threw the whiskey bottle in it and the plastic cups and took the trash out. My brother then stormed off and my mom followed him. She later called me demanding an apology for disrespecting my brother like that. My dad said I was being overly sensitive and some of my other family members also agree. Am I the a-hole here? Comment number 1, not the a-hole, what your brother did is really awful and it is cruel. It's possibly the worst gift I've ever heard of someone giving another, especially as he is aware of your struggles and recovery. And by the way, congratulations on recovery and standing up for yourself and your family. Comment number 2, what the hell? Obviously not the a-hole, your brother was being horrendously abusive and taunting. Read the room, dude, especially the pain this caused the kids. Not a situation to double down on your bottle flex. Mom and anyone upset OP can pound sand and get their juice on their own time. OP should have drain poured it to prevent them from dumpster diving afterwards. I say this as someone who drinks, the level of disrespect shown OP here is off the charts. I would go no contact with a lot of them. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this story, but I think it should be obvious that OP is very obviously not the a-hole here. The brother in this situation was completely either out of his mind or he is just a douchebag in general. Absolutely mind-blowing if you ask me. This story is about my grandfather and how he outsmarted his brother after his brother exploited their mother. About 40 years ago, my great-grandparents were dying. Great-grandfather was gone and great-grandmother was on her way out, abusing morphine to lessen the pain. She was writing a will when she was sober, but she was rarely sober. Her estate was essentially what would be a multi-millionaire's estate adjusted for inflation. Her estate was in Ireland while my grandfather and his brother were in England. My grandfather went to his local pub to see brother. He did this every Saturday night to keep in touch with his brother. This time something was different, his brother was not there. Instead, his brother spontaneously moved to Ireland and spent time with his mother, who was heavily on morphine. The morphine was clouding her judgment, and beat in mind she was writing a will. My grandfather's brother, we will call him Lee from now on, went to Ireland to cozy up to his mother in hopes of getting her whole estate. My grandfather didn't know Lee was doing this and didn't think much of it. Fast forward about a year and great-grandmother kicks the bucket. Funeral day arrives and everything goes fine until they get to the will. Great-grandmother was high on morphine when she was making the will, and everything she had in the will went to Lee. Nobody else got anything in the will. Put 2 and 2 together and everyone was pissed off at Lee, but the will could not be contested because there were people who signed in the witness of the will, including her attorney. Lee becomes outcasted, but everyone gives up on trying to save their mother's things, except Granddad. Lee inherited a large plot of land in Ireland, nothing special, except it was in rural Ireland. It could not support a septic tank and it is worth a crap ton of money. The house on this plot was right on the edge of the land, but the septic tank was on the neighbor's land. Lee did not know this, so he didn't buy the land next to the house. This is not up to building code, so the house cannot be sold until the septic tank is on his land. My grandfather knew this and bought the land surrounding this house. Lee fixed up the house and got a building inspector to inspect the house and check that it was up to code so he could sell the house. The inspector caught the septic tank and told Lee that he couldn't sell the house unless the tank is on his land. Lee went to the neighbors to buy the small plot of land that had the septic tank, only to find out that they sold it to my grandfather, and my grandfather was unwilling to sell the land to Lee. Lee invested easily over £300,000, which is roughly 411,000 US$, before Ireland went to euro in the house, so the house was in great shape and was supposed to be resold. Lee cannot sell the house now for a profit because my grandfather owns the land the septic tank is on. Lee cannot put a septic tank on his land because the land cannot support a septic tank. My grandfather put Lee into a checkmate where Lee has to sell the land and everything on it to my granddad. My grandfather is not going to buy the land for anything more than 5,000 euros, and to this day Lee still won't sell the land to my grandfather. My grandfather did not want the land, he just wanted to return the favor to Lee. Lee is now just scraping by on his plot of land because of his stubbornness, and he still to this day won't accept defeat. Edit number 2. My grandfather spent as much time as possible with his dying mother. He was there when she went out and he was there as much as he possibly could. At the time, he had kids to take care of and a job that was not very lenient. He made do with what he could. And guys, is it just me, or are the revenge stories surrounding grandpas usually some of the most satisfying ones? Multiple times already in the past we have read revenge stories from grandpas or grandmas all over the countries, but I have to say these are often some of my favorites. Anyway, if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. And guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then please feel free to check out my Patreon over at patreon.com/ripeyoutube, or join my YouTube membership program by clicking the join button to get access to even more exclusive videos. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you again tomorrow.